critical requirement maybe for a data-intensive application, bringing millions of records per second into the system. And the other requirement is the latency. Any applications you run latency is a very critical requirement. You need to have a low latency or sub-second or a millisecond kind of latency to make your customer happy. And the other challenge is concurrency, right? So hundreds and thousands of users connecting to the system would give a lot of load to the system. So a lot of OLAP systems or OLAP databases can't handle it. So you need to bring in another different kind of a database to handle these kind of attributes, which I said: the data size, the latency, the speed of ingestion, the complexity of your SQL code or stored procedures or procedural language, along with hundreds of thousands of users connected to the system. So with single store, if you have any of two or more attributes of what I told you, then we categorize that as a data-intensive application, and single store is built to handle that. Single store is built to handle your critical, mission-critical applications, providing low latency, ultra-fast ingest into the system. And these are some of our few logos, publicly referenceable customers. Fortune 500 companies, top 5 banks and tier 1 companies are all our customers using single store, leveraging the speed, scale, agility of the product. Yeah, if you see this slide, so single store is a real time. We are talking about real time. Now everything has become real time. So customer can't wait for 10 minutes or half an hour to get back to your data or analyze your data which is in your database. So with single store, we give real time, unified, as I said, it's a single database, distributed, and the SQL database. There are different keywords here, right? So it's a database. Single store is a SQL, relational, new SQL, modern architecture database, and we are ANSI SQL compliant, right? So if you know of writing a normal SQL code, it's transparent enough and very easy to pick that up and leverage the single store features and functionalities. And we are distributed. We are massively parallel processing architecture. Single store is built to handle millions of records or large aggregations, querying the records in your leaf nodes using massively distributed methods. Unified, as I said, with our universal storage capability, we combine both transactional and analytical platform in a single platform, single table type, which is our universal storage. And the real time, it's all about real time, right? So what is real time? As soon as the data comes into your product, comes into the database, so it is immediately available for access. So hundreds of millions or tens of millions of data coming into the system, and you are doing the analytics on a real time. That's the capability and feature and functionality single store will give. And with this architecture, if you see this, how single store, when you deploy single store in your machines, it looks like this. So the top 3 boxes are the aggregators, which acts as a proxy. It sends your SQL request down to the leaf nodes here, right? So leaf nodes is where actual data is stored and resided. All of your data processing, the aggregation, analytics, and everything will happen in the leaf nodes. And how can you adapt single store is a big question. So some of the customers might be using legacy databases now from many years, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, right? So it's very difficult to go and rip that and replace that, even though you have modern technology providing speed, scale, and agility. The first adaptability method is the augmentation. Single store can act as an augmentation to the existing legacy databases, powering or giving like a steroids to your legacy database and making that as a real-time platform for your application. Build is replacing the existing code performing databases with single store, leveraging the modern key capabilities of single store DB Cloud. And modernize, this is made on single store. The modernizing the application, if you are building a real-time on from the ground application, then single store is also a good fit for that. So what are the key capabilities for real time? We are not talking about real time. What are the key capabilities of real time? So one is the fast ingest, and along with that you should have a super low latency of accessing the data from the product from the database with very high concurrency, hundreds and thousands of users connecting to the system. In today's architecture, it's very difficult to combine or to get all these key capabilities in a single platform, right? So you may need to bring in 2 or 3 or 4 technologies to add into to build a real time. So with our technology, the solution or the capabilities we give is to solve the real time or give the real time key capabilities, which is ultra fast ingest. We have something called pipelines, which is built inside the product, where it can get connected to various heterogeneous data sources, the cloud object stores, your Hadoop system, or maybe a real-time integration with Kafka, and bring in tens of millions of records into the system. And while it is committed, you are able to immediately access that data with hundreds of users connecting to the system. I'm not going to talk much about this. These are a few numbers. With single store, some of our customers are getting. So if you see top left-hand side, Tier 1 wealth management firm having 1.5 petabyte of raw data in the column store and 100 terabytes of row store in the system. This means they are combining the OLTP and OLAP in a single platform and leveraging the scalability within single store. And the Tier 1 phone manufacturer or leading content delivery network who's doing actually 12 million upserts per second, right? So which is huge and crazy. So the ingestion rate with 12 million upserts, it's not just plain inserts, we are doing an upserts for them, and within few milliseconds kind of time frames. Again, fast ingestion, as I said, ultra fast ingestion is one of the key capability of the real time. 2 billion rows per hour ingestion was one of the capability for a media and streaming company, and we are available in all walks of life, banking, health insurance, and all the sectors out there in the market are leveraging single stores, fast, extreme performance. So what's the main technical differentiation? So you might have a question. So you are telling you can combine OLTP and OLAP in a single platform. So what's the main technical differentiation out there, right? So with single store, you get the universal storage architecture. So this is a 3-layered architecture within single store. This is how single store being built up from the ground, right? So I'll talk about in detail about these 3, architecture or 3 different layers, how the data will be ingested and how the data will be queried from the system. The first layer in the universal storage is the in-memory or the hot data, right? When you insert a data into single store, first it lands in the memory zone. And this will be considered as a hot data, and it will be in the row-oriented data structure, right? So mainly helpful for your OLTP system or OLTP kind of workloads. And writing millions of records per second. Why it is very fast? Well, you are ingesting because we are writing directly to the memory, and we are synchronously copying that to another leaf node, providing a high availability inside the node. So if you have a distributed system and then you have a single store, so if one of your leaf node goes down, you don't have to worry because you have replicated and copied that to other leaf nodes. So your database will be online, cluster will be online, you will be able to read and write without any downtime, and I can say it's a zero downtime product. And the second layer is the on-disk, right? So this is basically your SSD or the persistent cache. We call it as a local cache or a persistent cache, right? So once the data lands in the first layer, which is memory layer, once it meets the threshold, the data will be automatically flushed down to column store format, which is your SSD. And we also maintain transaction log for the durability. So if something happens to the data which is in the memory of some of your leaf node goes down, so we reapply that using the transaction logs. So this memory layer and the local cache or the disk works hand in hand. The data movement between the memory layer and the disk works automatically, right? So based on your query access pattern, based of your query shapes, so we bring in the data from the disk to the memory, and then it will be in the row-oriented format, and that is how you get the OLTP and OLAP in the combined format. So even though most of your data is stored in the disk format, it doesn't slow down your transactional loads, because ideally we put that back to row store or in memory in the row-oriented format for the query access patterns. And we also have secondary indexes, unique keys, and the segment elimination. Single store is very unique in terms of intelligent, I would say, in terms of segment eliminations, right? When you say column store, it's all, the data is spread across segments. And when you fire a query, so you don't have to scan all the segments. So single store is intelligent enough to identify where the data is in your entire distributed system. That is where the speed comes into factor. And the third layer is the object store, right? So this comes by default with our single store DB Cloud, which is completely managed offering. Again, so all of your, as soon as the data comes into your second layer, we push that asynchronously into a third layer, which is Cloud Object Store. Cloud Object Store could be any Cloud Object Store which you are using. So S3 is again one Cloud Object Store. You can synchronously copy everything down to S3 location, and since all the data is already there in the object store, and we also do multiple copies of that, you don't have to worry about taking the backups and maintaining and doing a lot of database administration. Single store could easily handle that. And we also provide limitless point-in-time restore. So any database out there, the provider does give you a point-in-time restore, but to a certain extent, certain amount of time. With single store, you could go back to any point in time and recover the data if any catastrophic changes happens. And this together, we call it as universal storage, right? So all the data movement from your memory to the disk and to the object store, and based on the query pattern from the disk to the memory, all happens automatically. So you will create just normal single table type, which is universal storage table type, and we handle all the data movement and the data accessing patterns behind the scenes inside the engine. And that's the beauty of this universal storage architecture. Again, we also maintain the metadata copy, in-memory metadata copy. That's very important that metadata information will have how much amount of data, what kind of data is present in which partitions inside your distributed system. Very efficient for segment elimination, segment skipping during your query processing or analytics time. Again, so we are talking about real time. So single store has tons of features. Again, I'm just talking about few features here. Pipelines, again, pipeline is one of the key capability inside single store, bringing millions of records into the system in a millisecond kind of a time frame. So you can see there are multiple systems here: Kafka, HDFS, and the object storage, right? So if you have the data in these systems, single store uses massively parallel processing method and ingest that data into single store. And you can also redirect the data which is in the source into a stored procedure or a user-defined functions as well, do the transformations while ingesting the data in the system. So you don't have to have another layer of ETL for doing a business logic or deduplication or sanitization of the data before putting into your target table. So we can handle that using our pipeline capability. And we also have exactly one semantics and transactional consistency as well. So the pipeline supports JSON, Avro, Parquet, CSV data formats. So these are the main data file formats which is available out there, and many 99% of customers probably use JSON, CSV, or Parquet formats. So workspaces. Single store, again, single store DB Cloud, you have a feature called workspaces where you can isolate your computes and storages, right? So this is basically separation of storage and compute. Your compute will be isolated with the storage, and it's a many-to-many relationship. You can create multiple computes and attach to your database. So if you have a just application just writing the data, then you can dedicatedly create a compute size, and I'll show you in hands-on how to create the workspace group, etc. So you can isolate if your application having the internal or customer-facing real-time application, then simultaneously you can create multiple workspaces and isolate that from the other and get the leverage the power of the store. So basically, it is granular scalability and isolation of resources, and we'll see that in hands-on. So what does single store delivers then? So the main first important factor is blazingly fast performance. The second is quick and easily adaptability. Since we are MySQL wire protocol, and MySQL wire protocol meaning anything which gets connected to MySQL can also get connected to single store using MySQL MariaDB JDBC ODBC connector. It doesn't mean that we have built something on top of MySQL. Single store is a purely proprietary product built up from the ground, and we also have a native JDBC ODBC connector where you can get connected to any analytical applications tools which you are using. And we are a multi-model data types. As I said, single store is the relational SQL modern distributed database, but we do also support other data types as well. JSON is a first-class citizen inside single store. You can handle JSON very well. We have a huge functions where you can write simple SQL statements and get the JSON records and do the analytics on the JSON data. And we have a geospatial data. I'm going to show a demo as well on geospatial data. So one of the example is Uber is leveraging us for a geospatial capability. So if you're using the Uber app, all your fare surcharge or your driver locations and all the geospatial things which are happening, so single store is behind the scenes doing all the operations out there. And we also support full text search, key value, and time series as well. And single store can be deployed anywhere and everywhere, right? So you have an option of deploying this as a self-managed approach. If you have your own hardware, then you can just take the single store license, and you can deploy it easily. So we have a completely managed service, which is a DBaaS, so where single store runs on the Kubernetes and handles all the infra and the administration activities. And you can also deploy on self-hosted cloud, all the public cloud vendors out there in the market, and we can also containerize that using Kubernetes and Docker as well. And these are some numbers: low latency, 10 to 100x performance gain over the legacy databases. These are some of the numbers we have got from our customers. This I will pass on to Ramanj to speak about the partnership between AWS and single store and the workshop architecture as well.
Thank you, Ramesh. Am I audible? Yep. So we will talk about AWS and single store partnership that we have. So as you know, right, AWS believes in bringing the right database for all your specific application needs. So on one side, if you look at start reading the site from left to right, single store can ingest data from any of our databases, be it
Microsoft
or DB or any other databases you see. And then you have a CAD files in S3 or any other files.
cannot hear you. Microsoft.
Hello? Now it's better, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so single store can basically ingest data from any of our databases, be it RDS, Aurora, and any other data sources like S3, which is our blob storage. Or you can also use our managed services for streaming data like EMR and streaming MSK. Then what you do is that you basically ingest all this data using AWS Glue or single store pipeline into your single store data store, and depending upon what your use case is, you might want to take the data into your data lake for your analytical purposes. And then also we have SingleStore has a JDBC ODBC connector to our analytics as well as our machine learning stack, right? So you can connect to a SageMaker, you can connect to a Redshift, you can connect to our QuickSight services, and do analytics and ML on top of the data that is there on SingleStore. Obviously, to do this analytics or machine learning, you might want to ingest data from multiple data sources, and I'll quickly today show you how in QuickSight you can connect to multiple data sources, SingleStore being one, and you can ingest data from multiple data sources into QuickSight for visualization. Similarly, if you want to do your machine learning on Amazon SageMaker, you can go ahead and take the data from SingleStore into an S3 location because you want to train the model initially. So SageMaker can connect to the S3 location, train the model. Yeah. So SageMaker can basically connect, take the data that is there in S3, train your model on that, and then once the model is built, you can go ahead and host the model in SageMaker. We offer multiple model hosting options for depending upon what kind of use case you have, whether it is real-time batch or something that we call a serverless inference. There is multiple options, so you can go ahead and do that. So today I'm going to show you how you can do data visualization on QuickSight. But if you have questions on any of the other services, feel free to reach us. I'll share my coordinates after the session. Feel free to reach us. We'll be happy to answer you any questions on either a data lake, databases, ML, or any of the other services, right? Okay, very important aspect, right, which many of our customers ask, right, that when you have a SaaS story, how do you connect to your existing AWS account, which might be running in your own VPC? So AWS has something called as private link, which basically allows you to share data from your VPC to the SaaS applications without exposing that data to internet. So you go ahead and use AWS private link to do the data sharing between the two in a very secured and governed way. The timer has also stopped. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is a quick, I would say, demo that we have today of how you can ingest data from SingleStore into and other data into S3, and then store it, run that data into visualization using QuickSight. So this is the architecture of the workshop that we are going to use. So we'll have the database in SingleStore. It will connect to the workspace, and we can take data out from there into S3. And QuickSight is basically going to use the MySQL protocol to access the data in there and do the visualizations on top of it. Right? And depending on what kind of data you have, SingleStore can connect. You can ingest that data from various streams like S3. S3 is a blob storage, so you can basically store anything under the sun in S3. So I'll just get started with the preparation. How many of you do have your AWS accounts, or you're aware of the AWS? The landing page and how to access QuickSight. Any show of hands here? Okay, so most of you are, quite a few. There is a batch out there who don't have, but anyways, most of you do have it. So what I will suggest is, since you have downloaded the student guide and the presentation deck, anybody still remaining to do it? I think this is the link. Please go ahead and download the presentation deck and student guide, and you can follow along as I show you how to do it in. We'll just wait for maybe 5 seconds. Okay, so since you have your AWS accounts, I don't know many of you, most of you don't have laptops, so it's okay. If you have, when you get access to your AWS account, right, just log into your AWS account and First you have to run this thing, right? Yeah. I'll just give Rakesh to run the single store part, and then we'll come to the site, and then we'll come.
Yeah, so as Ramanand was mentioning, right, so this is real-time marketing demo, offers and analytics demo, right? So a fictional telco company, assume a fictional telco company with millions of subscribers, right, serving the targeted ads and offers to the customers in the real time, right? So as you saw in the workshop architecture, right? So we have different components there. So one is your web browser digital marketing instance, and the second part is a single store DB cloud, and we bring in the data using the AWS S3, and then we connect to a QuickSight and do some real-time dashboard there as well. So the main aspects here is how the real-time marketing offer it targets the ads to the customers, and it will send out the notifications. All this will happen in millions and millions of records which you are going to see. So what we're going to do now is, if you have a laptop, you can do along with me. What's that now? Yeah, we have. So we'll set up single store DB cloud environment, right? So we need a database now. So we have a web browser digital marketing interface. I'll show you that. And now we'll create a single store DB cluster. So how do you create a cluster, right? So you can go to singlestore.com/cloud trial, right? So if you sign up using this, you will get $500 worth of credits where you can leverage that, do some testings, play around with single store, and you can also leverage for this workshop and demonstration after this session. Right? So let's quickly go back to. Let me show you how this look like. So this is our cloud trial website. So what you have to do is you just have to go and sign in with either Google, Microsoft, or you either using your emails. And then once you sign up, you'll have to log in with your username and the password. So once you log in with your username and password, so it will bring down to a page something like this, where you have to enter your credentials. Yeah, so I've already entered my credentials, so I'm in the single store portal website now. So when you log in, this is the page you see, right? So how to create a cluster now? How to deploy single store database in your cluster? So you'll get $500 worth of credit. You can always go and deploy compute sizes. I'll show how to do that, right? And then I've already deployed a cluster which I'll be using that, but I'll just quickly walk through how the workspace creation looks like, right? So you can create this button here out there, create workspace group, or you can just click on this workspace group, right? So click on workspace group, give some name, AWS single store workshop, and then AWS is a cloud provider, and then select the region whichever you want. So by default, either it will be US East 1 or US East 2. I use this as a production release, and the advanced settings is like you can terminate this cluster like after hours or never based on your requirements. Let's see, never, and then next. So the second page is the compute, which is important, right? So single store works on compute-based model or credit-based model. So the smallest unit of your cluster is S00, which has like 2 vCPUs and 16 GB of RAM. So you can go to up to like S400, but with a cloud trial, I would suggest either S1 or S2 to start with, where you can play with single store DB for almost a week time. Play leveraging the analytics operations, right? So and then for this, I'll just say S0 and then select size. So I'll not attach this SmartTech database, and then the workspace confirmation group is this, and then once you create a workspace, it will start deploying. It will take like 5 minutes to deploy this cluster once you click on create workspace option. But I've already created a workspace, which is this. this is the compute size, and now what we are going to do is we will have to attach your database. So you can see, as I was talking about workspaces. So it's this one workspace where we are using leveraging for digital marketing with S3 and single store. So you can always create multiple workspaces and attach to this database, and you can have multiple databases, multiple workspaces. It's a many-to-many relationship, isolating the workloads between read and write applications or internal users or analytical for read purposes, etc. So I'm not going to do that now, but you can always play around with this. So what I do here is, let me go through the student guide. So we did this cloud trial, we managed this, we created a workspace group, and then rename, database provider, workspace details, and selecting the compute size here. And then finally, the main thing while deploying the cluster, I would say, just for this demo purpose, you can, once the cluster is deployed, just click on edit, you will have the access restriction pattern. So for now, I have selected allow access from anywhere, because it's not a sensitive data, so you can keep the access to open, and go to access page and just reset your database password, right? And then you go to a digital, let's go to a digital marketing demo, so which is section B, building an operational analytical solution, right? With this, we have to connect to a digital, the web browser, the left hand side, which we saw, right? So this is the page for that, and you will get that in our documentation as well, and this is the landing page, digitalmarketing.labs.singlestore.com. So you will get that in the student guide, so you only take a copy of this. So everything is detailed, step-by-step processes across the student guide. So now we have to connect to this digital marketing web browser, right? So this is a workspace host. How do you get the workspace host? To go to your overview page, and there is a button called connect. You can say connect directly. There are different connection methods here out there. So this is the MySQL client. So I use a single store endpoints in the CLI client option, and there are multiple other options to connect to your BI tools, your applications, etc. So with this, I just copy this till singlestore.com. So don't use the port details. Just copy till singlestore.com. Then I'll go here and just replace this. So always by default, the username is admin. Let's leave password. So and Martech is a database, and now it is connecting to the database. And this is the dashboard out there, right? So the workspace has been connected. This is the admin password, and the scale factor is SA, which you can choose. It's just optional option out there. So what it does is, once you click on setup schema, it gets connected to your workspace host. It creates all the tables required for this digital marketing thing, right? So it creates all these tables out there. So let's see the table, right? So it's very simple, similar table how you create in your relational databases. So there's a shard key and sort key. I'm not going to talk about in detail, but it's a lot of DDLs out there will get created. So let's say create database and set up schema. So it will take a few seconds, and then it will create the database, create the tables, and then it will get attached to the compute which we have created in our single store cloud. So you can see all the tables is being created here. You can see okay, schema setup is done. Very simple, very easy. So now you can go back and see there was no databases before. Now we have a database called Martech, and there are a lot of tables out there. You can see there are multiple tables in this database, right? So all the tables is being created. So what we are going to do now is we need to bring in the data, right? So as you saw in the workshop architecture, we leverage S3. There are huge data files out there in S3. We use our pipelines and connect to S3, database S3, and then we bring in the data, and you will see how fast you could bring in the data. It will be in millions and millions of records per second. So as I said, we need to create a pipeline. So all this is inbuilt inside this web browser. You can always do manually. You can go to singlestore.com and search how to create the pipelines. Just a few blocks of code. Looks like this: create pipeline from S3 location and then insert into table. Right. So let me create a pipeline. So once the pipeline is created and started, the records will start pumping into the table started tables. You can see we created a pipeline started like 5 seconds ago, and now you can see almost 3 million records being inserted in the locations table, right? So we are streaming mainly to a location requests and purchases. These are the main tables, and behind the scenes, all the stored procedure will get executed and pump into the other tables. Let's load the offers. So it's a digital marketing app, so we have to load the offers. By default, we are loading like 200 offers based on the max bid price, notification zone, list of segments, all these considered factors. We are loading 200 factors, and then we match the segmentation, right? So we match. So once the user goes in or buys some coffee, in a coffee shop, or go to a grocery shop, so this app will send out the notification to the cell phones, and this will happen in a huge scale, right? So you can see, just let me rerun this segmentation, right? So segment is nothing but, as I said, just a customer or user bought a coffee in the last week, or a grocery store, went to a grocery store in the last week or last month, etc. So it just took 2 seconds to match all the segments, right? And you can also generate the notification, and the segmentation, 44 million rows were evaluated against 277 segments in just 2 seconds. That's the real time I'm talking about. And still the data is pumping in. So now you can see there's almost 32 million records, just data coming in, and we are doing the operations on real time, right? So you can generate the notifications. So what notification does is targets the user based on the customer demographics, geolocations, and the purchase history, and send out the notifications to the cell phones. And this is there for one city, which is New York, right? So if you see, we evaluated 201 million notification opportunities against almost 4 million segment membership, and this process just took 5 seconds to do that. So let's go and see the dashboard, right? So these are the number of offers we loaded. So all the companies have different offers, and we are just using one city, which is New York City, and we have almost 1 million subscribers and 277 segments, matching segments, and all the matchings is happening in the real time. You can see all the matches and notification has been sent out, and the segment matching is happening in the real time. So you can see the analytics dashboard as well here. You can see out of 1 million subscribers, so yes, there is 1.75 million notification which has been sent out, and the conversion rate for the request and the purchase is like 2:1, right? So this is the total conversion, and this is the total rate, and it's all calculating happening in the real time. Everything has been simulated automatically. So this is what you get. This is what we mean by real time, bringing the data as fast as possible, and doing a lot of analytics on this, right? Yeah, so the segmentation and matching is also happening in real time. You can see. So let's go back now. So we did this: create workspace, group workspace, create password, and set up the tables, all connecting the endpoints, connecting to real-time marketing, ingesting the data. All these are 3 main streams of data: ingested, location, real-time operations. So we support user-defined functions, extensibility features. What are the benefits? It's ANSI SQL compatible tools, compile out and scale out performance. And these are the segmentation matching which you saw in the demo there. You can always try out there, so use just our single store cloud trial and like this. So now Ram will explain about QuickSights and
Yeah, that was interesting, right? Getting so much done quickly. So obviously, once you have registered those, that data and you run that campaign, right? Obviously, your management is interested to understand how did the campaign do, like what is the conversion rate that the campaign achieved, how many notifications were sent, how many clicks were there, how many conversions were there. Now, QuickSight is basically our serverless enterprise-ready data visualization platform, and we'll quickly move forward. So as you can see in QuickSight, I'm assuming you have your AWS accounts. If you don't have your AWS accounts, if you're working for organizations who use AWS, please get access to AWS accounts. If you don't work for organizations that use AWS, then you can also open your own account and then ask your organization to start using AWS. Then once you go to AWS, the easiest way to get to QuickSight, because AWS has more than 200 services, so the easiest way to get to QuickSight is, there is a search bar that is on top. Go there and search QuickSight and show it in the video, in the demo video when we get there. You will land to QuickSight, right? So this is the dashboard. So this is an AWS console home, right? Once you arrive at this home, basically you go ahead and take the search bar, search QuickSight, and you will get QuickSight after that. And if you visit QuickSight very often, you will get it listed up here also. So we'll move quickly. So we search QuickSight. Once you arrive at QuickSight, this is the first page that you will see. Click on new dataset, or on the left hand column you will get a dataset options amongst others. It's a little bit hazy out there. Click on the dataset option, and it's there in the student guide, so you can follow. No need to take photographs. You can follow it. Once you click dataset option, click on new dataset. Yeah, go to MySQL. And once you get to MySQL, you will get to this page. So this page basically will ask you for the database connections information. So whatever you put in single store, the database connection string, the port 3306, and the database server name, username, password, please go ahead and put those things in. So the database name, Marte, and password, and then create a data source. So what it will do next, QuickSight, right? It will automatically identify what kind of tables are there in your database. You can then go ahead and select which tables you want to bring in for your data visualization. Not all tables may be of equal importance, but feel free to bring in the tables that you believe is important for your business use case on which you want to do the visualization. And here what we are showing is that how to just see a visualization of the conversion ratio, right? So conversion ratio, as you know, is that how many people have actually purchased the product divided by number of people who has got the notifications of the product. So we're just doing that, so we'll just keep it limited to that, but you are free to go ahead and do more than that. So this is the query for arriving at the conversion ratio. So just type in the query, count of total conversions from notifications, purchase, it's all there. Import it from Spice. So Spice basically is a mechanism in which we make analytics quicker, so you don't have to go and get it from your disk. You can go ahead and get it directly from Spice. Let's move ahead. Put in the password. Now this is notifications. So similarly, you will also bring in the total number of notifications that is there. because conversion is basically has an notifications is there in the formula for getting into conversion, so you'll import the notifications information also. And then once you import the notifications information, right, something you will land up in this kind of a in a view, right? So you'll have your bottom part wherein you will have all the data, the columns, and you will do a basic, I would say, data profiling and tell you what kind of data types each of the columns has, and number of rows, etc. All those things you will get in QuickSight immediately. It's just before, it's important because before you actually go ahead and do the visualization, you would ideally want to ensure that manage null values. If the data type is something else, then you would know what kind of visualizations will look good. So once you have ingested this, then you can go ahead and create joins depending upon what kind of visualizations you want to do, right? And suppose both inner, left, outer, whatever join you need, you can go ahead and do that. I think show here how you can do so you can get the information from conversions table, and then you're joining with the notifications table, because information that is there in conversion and notifications is basically your conversion ratio. So you'll do an inner join. Offer ID is the primary key in basically both the tables, doing the inner join in it. So once you do the inner join, you will get the data set with both the data sources joined together. And then if you want to, so I'll just show you this important thing. If you want to exclude certain fields from your visualization, you can go ahead and do that. You can just exclude a particular field which you don't want. So QuickSight basically allows you to play around, right? You can, there's a lot you can do. You can change names, you can do that. All these things you can get to. The idea is that you finally get to a data set on which you can run the visualization, and you can go ahead and create this new visualization, right? So it supports paginated reports. It also supports ML-based, something called as QuickSight Q, wherein you do not have to actually know what is the formula for conversion rate. Anybody saying that what is the conversion rate in NYC, you will get this information in something. It's called QuickSight Q. It automatically understand natural language. It can convert that natural language into a query and give you the visualization. Very helpful for your organizations where dashboarding, because most consumers of dashboards are non-technical people. So the lesser technical burden you leave at them, the better for you. So that's what we bring in with QuickSight Q. I don't know if there is a QuickSight Q demo out here, but we can talk in subsequently, somewhere else on QuickSight Q. So now you can go ahead and do the visualization, right? So there are multiple visual charts that is available. You can pull in the columns on the X and Y axis, and depending upon what you want to see and how you want to see, you can select the right chart. So for example, if you go ahead by sum of conversion rate by customer, but sum doesn't make sense, I think we'll go and change it into count. So you can see that the conversion rate they are getting out here. Total number of conversion divided by total number of notifications, you will get the conversion rate. Then you can go ahead and you can go ahead and you can go ahead and play around with the visualization. You want the bar charts, you can do. You want any other visualization that works for you, you can do. Conversion is a very simple use case, so probably bar chart is good. If you want a number instead of the sum, because sum doesn't make sense, you just go and convert it, change it, and you just want the actual number, then you can go ahead and change the I would say mathematical function of that metric also, right? So here you can see that the conversion rate was sum, and you go ahead and change it to the minimum. So what you get is the minimum conversion rate across all your offers. So you can go ahead and change to mean. You can any statistical measure that works for you. You can go ahead and use that. And then you can group by. These are very self-explanatory. Group by, I don't want to teach you. You can depending upon how you want to see it, whether it is like, for example, if you have to look at conversion rate by different areas of New York, like how much was it in Manhattan, how much was it in Brooklyn. Go ahead and do that. You want to do it based on geographical location, product types, anything you can go ahead and play around and understand, right? So very simple to use. Advantage is completely serverless. So you do not have to manage any servers. It is enterprise grade, auto scales depending upon how many people wants to access QuickSight, and the pricing is also very simple to understand. You can go to the page and read it. It's very simple to understand. You don't like make it very complicated for customers that way. And this is just like QuickSight, right? But if you want to do, like, once you ingest the data from single store into an S3, you want to do ML, you can go ahead and use our ML services like SageMaker, built on top of it, and do whatever you want. Right? Today it is only focused on QuickSight data visualization, so we'll keep the conversation till there. And with that, so every step is there in the student guide. You need not like worry about taking photographs or images, but so every step is there in the student guide. Need not worry. Please go ahead and try it, and then the ease of use will be hopefully you will like it. Right? So this was. So that's the end of it. Thanks. I think now we'll just go and clean up the resources because that's critical. If you have provision anything, please do clean up the resources.
Yeah, if you have provisioned the single store DB cluster, right? So it's important to clean up that as well. So if you go to again overview of your workspace, there is always an option for you to suspend the cluster. You can suspend, come back and play with it. So you can always terminate the cluster if you don't want. For now, I'm just terminating this cluster because it consumes credits as well. Yeah, that's about cleaning up the resource termination.